All right. Hey, I'm John. I'm here with Katie Brandow. So this is HIIT Logic Talk 2. We're just going to introduce you to our member and kind of what Katie's all about. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So you may know Katie, may not know Katie, but she has a ton of stuff going on. Pretty interesting member. She also took over or hijacked our Instagram account lately. So let's kind of start there, Katie. So one of the things that I first noticed when you became a member was you were all over social media. Like it's kind of your thing. It's your jam. You're good at it. And like typically I wouldn't watch stories or like be influenced by certain things that are posted on social media. But every time something pops up that you put up, like I gotta watch it. So what's behind that? What like kind of drove you to do that?
Wow. Well, lately I've been hearing that a lot, and it's kind of funny because I feel like I've really been learning social media myself, but I've just really been consistent with it. And I would say that, like 10 years ago when Facebook came out, I definitely had that, but it was more for sharing pictures with families and those kinds of things. But really, I began consistently sharing on social media when I went through my own personal development journey. So I'm a mom, I have 2 kids, and any parent, I think, knows that when you're raising your own kids, you begin to learn more about yourself. And I did that silently for a long time. And I'm a therapist by education. That's what I went to school for. So I'm all about helping other people. And so I really had to put aside my fears of maybe what other people would think, or shed the belief that I had to do everything perfectly in order to help other people. And that actually by being imperfect, I was helping people more. So imperfectly showing up on social media and sharing my journey as a mom, my health journey, as a wife, and as a business owner. I just feel like that is something that I needed help with, and I knew other people needed help with. So I just got brave and started sharing on social media.
Yeah, awesome. So like right there, you said like 7 different things, more fingers than I have that you do. And so one of the things, I think I was watching one of those stories recently, and one of them was talking about, hey, the journey's not always perfect. Sometimes like you're intermittent fasting, sometimes you're cleansing, sometimes you're also enjoying wine, sometimes like we all try to, it's a balance of life sort of thing. So how do you do that? How do you decide, how do you balance your life? Yeah.
How do you balance your life? Well, honestly, the word balance kind of it throws me off because it's like, I don't know if I'm ever really in balance. I'm just kind of always striving for, first of all, taking care of myself. If I'm taking care of myself, I do a better job in every area of my life. But stress happens, and there's times where I'm way off balance, so to speak, like a lot more, like unhealthy foods or wine and stress, and a lot less of the working out and all the healthy food. So, but that's kind of the balance that sometimes it's out of whack, and just accepting that it's not always going to be like 4 days a week at the gym and, that 80-20 healthy food balance. But I do try to live by the 80-20 rule. That's something that has kind of carried me through and allowed that 20% to just kind of be, whatever with food or exercise, just knowing that I'm doing my best the majority of the time.
Yeah. So it's funny little story, kind of side note is, so Amanda next door at the coffee shop, she got me this shirt that says farmer on it, and it's always been kind of a joke, like, hey, John, you're a farmer. I really don't know what I'm doing. But then there's my wife on the other hand who really doesn't know kind of the farming side of things, and she got a shirt that says farmer-ish, which is hilarious. But when I started to think about it, it's kind of like perfect for this conversation because you don't need to be perfect, right? Like you can be ish, you can go, I go to the gym ish, I eat healthy ish, right? As long as you're doing that more often than not, right? And so that kind of leads me to my next thing is, so I notice a lot of the times is, so, I mean, you're a business owner, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a woman, which is a challenge in itself. You run a successful business with Isogenics, and explain a little bit about Isogenics. Explain a little bit about the nutrition side of your journey and what that means to you and kind of what that's all about.
Yeah, so the nutrition side of isogenics came into my life about almost 4 years ago. And I had already had a pretty significant health transformation where I found out I had a tumor in my femur. And that just scared me, unlike anything I had ever really experienced. And I had a 1 and a 5-year-old at the time. So, you know, I'm imagining like, oh, okay, like what does this mean? Are there more tumors? Like, what's the outcome of this going to be? And ultimately, I was like very afraid of dying due to poor health. And took care of it, tumor's gone, but it was a huge wake-up call to what I'm putting in my body. And I went into that surgery in horrible shape physically, and it was just a huge wake-up call. So I began to really like detoxify my life the best that I could. And I would say I ate more like paleo-ish. But it's definitely a paleo-ish. And I improved my health, but I didn't feel great. I felt really tired, really ran down, and that's when isogenics came into my life. And about 5 days into doing something as simple as drinking a protein, I mean, I already drank protein shakes, but having isogenics as my protein shake and introducing the intermittent fasting, I felt like a new person. I mean, I felt like I went from a dead plant to a watered plant. And that was very easy to share with people. Like if I loved somebody and they were in my life, they knew what a shift that was for me. And that's the nutrition side of isogenics. So I've helped, you know, hundreds of people get started. There's thousands of people on our team. And I know it's also just the beginning. I have been able to, you know, financially, because isogenics, just their compensation plan is unlike any other network marketing compensation plan, I've been able to create an income that's like a second income to our home. And I'm all about like flexibility with my time and freedom with my time and being able to support causes that are important to me. So money's awesome just because it gives us freedom for choices and freedom with time. But I'm really about helping bring that to other people too. So there's a whole nutrition side and then a financial side for people that are looking for income.
Yeah, awesome. So you talk about kind of having that free time, right? And so, I mean, I can already tell, personality-wise, you're a lot like me. You have a million balls in the air, right? And it's like you've gone so long with none of them dropping that this is just how it is. You know, you just do it on a daily basis. However, there are some people, especially when it comes to gym life or it comes to nutrition or it comes to family, I think it applies everywhere, is that the common excuse we always hear, or the thing that we hear back, is I don't have time, right? Like I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that, right? A big thing here for us is we just say, hey, replace I don't have time with it's not a priority. We try not to be too harsh that way, but what's your advice to people that are just, you know, I don't have time for nutrition, I don't have time to go to the gym. You know, I saw a post the other day that you said, I really didn't want to go, but I came, I did it, and I feel so much better. So when you don't want to go, just go, right? So what's your advice to that?
Well, I mean, quite simply, you're going to either pay now or you're going to pay later. So whether that's with your resources or your time, you're going to lose time later if you don't up front put that time in now towards good nutrition and a healthy body. So that's going to hit us later when we're older and can't get out of a recliner chair or have to go to an assisted living because we can't get on and off a toilet, or our health is so compromised later that we don't get to live our life later. So for me, like that's my message that I tell myself and that I try to share with other people. And just like you said, like it's just not a priority. It may not be a priority for people to eat right and work out, and that just means that there will be a consequence for that later. Sure. So.
Yeah, and we always feel that it's like it becomes a characteristic, right? So if you're not going to the gym, if you're not eating right because there's not time, well, you're not doing that, and now there's not going to be time for something else. Be that family, be that work, be that the best person that you can be. So, question: obviously, we're in HIIT Logic right now. That's kind of why we're talking here. So, what? Like we're in Tumalo, right? A rural community, not many people out here. I'm sure you've been up and down the street a ton of times. There's the coffee shop, there's the bite, there's a few places for people to gather. What brought you in? What made you open that door and say, hey, I'm gonna do this?
Into HIIT Logic?
Yeah.
Well, I've lived in Bend for about 20 years and moved to Tumalo about 3 years years ago, literally manifested moving to Tumalo. I mean, I was like, that's where I want to live someday. That's where I want to live someday. That's before this whole row of stuff was here. I just wanted to be kind of on the outskirts of Bend.
Sure.
And before coming to HIIT Logic, I was really into yoga. Like I was at yoga, nearly every day, and that was a really good transition for me. But there became a day where it was kind of like I knew I had learned everything I was going to learn there, and at least for that time, I just was stepping away from it. And I found you guys through social media. I saw somebody that was coming here, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a gym in Tumalo. That's so great.
Yeah.
And I was actually in Lake Tahoe, and a friend of mine took me to a gym where she works out that's similar, and I was like, oh my gosh, a place like this just opened up in Tumalo.
Sure.
And so I had that introduction to this type of workout when I was on vacation. It was like the same week you guys were opening. So when I got home, I just emailed Katie and showed up.
Just did it.
Yeah,
just showed up. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so that's one of the big things, right? Is like we always just say, just show up, be the type of athlete, be the type of person, be the mom, be the dad, be whoever who just shows up, right? Like always show up. It's really important with kind of our mantra here with everything that we have going on. So with our last podcast or vlog is we talked about the gym mascot of a lobster. And a lobster is kind of, again, just to recap, it's like one of the few animals that when it grows, it has to shed its shell. So when it's growing, when you grow, you become a little bit vulnerable. And it's the same thing with human, right? And so if you can, like, share like a lobster moment. Share a lobster moment. Yeah, what's your lobster moment?
So this is unrelated to isogenics or the gym.
Sure.
But this is just my most real vulnerable moment that I've experienced as of lately. So I have owned a business, School of Enrichment, it's a preschool, for the last 12 years. Always dreamed of owning our own building, and got a letter in the mail that just basically says, we're not renewing your lease at the space where we've been for 10 years.
Yeah.
And like that scared me more than anything because I didn't know what that meant for the 100 families that we work with, the 15 full-time employees that we have, and those are all women, mostly with families, and I felt a massive amount of pressure to make sure I came up with a plan. And I mean, I am just now 3-4 months into this, past the point of vulnerability because we've figured it out, right? Like we're buying a school and we're moving, but there was a few days and a few weeks there where I wasn't okay. And it was really hard to not be okay, and it was hard to not be okay when you have kids and you're running into a bathroom to cry because you don't want your kids to see you, and just really scared. Like fear was in the driver's seat, and that was so uncomfortable for me. And I mean, I couldn't even show up here. I was devastated, and man, getting through that and just knowing that the universe had a plan for me, and it wasn't like things weren't happening to me, they were happening for me. I knew that, and I kept telling myself that, but I didn't feel it in my cells, and now I do. But getting fear out of the driver's seat is definitely something that I'm good at doing, but this fear was driving me for much longer than I was comfortable with. And that was definitely a lobster moment for me. I've learned so much about not being okay and getting okay and kind of just surrendering a little bit of control at times, which was really hard for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there's, you're doing so much, you're having such a big impact. There's people every single day that we see walk by here, right? And they kind of peek in, they don't know what they're doing, and we understand that, you're not always going to be your best on a day-to-day basis. You're not always going to be your best here in the gym. Everyone has a story with what's going on with them. And, a story like that, we have no idea that that's going on. We have no idea if someone's dog got hit by a car or whatever it may be, right? So we try to be welcoming with that. And so whatever your lobster moment is at that particular time, I mean, I think he'd say the same, but we just kind of encourage you to just go, show up and just go on a day-to-day basis, grind that out. So the last thing that I have for you is that, so you're a mom, right? 2 girls,
Yes.
right? You're a wife, right? You come in the gym, you're doing all this stuff. In that sort of sense of your job or your identity of a mom and a wife, like what reasons do you come to the gym for your family? Like, I know why nutrition is important. Why do you come to your family? I see one of your daughters, Nev, she comes in here, right? And she watches mom and she works out, and there's stuff beyond the weights that we press or the burpees that we do. What's one of the reasons that you come for them?
It's a really good question. My goal is always just to try to be the best human I can be. But this environment is somewhere where I don't feel like I'm at at my peak performance or potential, and so it's very humbling to be challenged. I mean, there are people here at all levels of their fitness, but I feel like this is somewhere where I'm constantly striving to be better, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoy seeing people that were collegiate athletes and me trying to keep up with them, and vice versa, other people who maybe it's the first time they're stepping into the gym, and making sure I introduce myself to them and welcome them, and if there's something I can help them with it. So it's just a very collaborative, positive, supportive place no matter what level somebody is at, and I kind of crave that in my life. I like being around all kinds of people, but it's really cool to be around people who were doing better than me. And I learned so much from watching them and being around them when I'm here.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the cool things is that we talked about last time as well, but you don't know if you're working out next to the CEO or someone else who does something else, right? We're all on an even playing field when we're here.
Yes.
And I think that's awesome too. So like when I have 2 daughters and you have 2 daughters, and when they come in and they kind of are working out, it doesn't matter if they're working out next to an adult, they're working out next to a 4-year-old, we're all kind of equal, right? And I think that goes to just the good thing about humans is that we're a lot more similar than we are different. And if we can focus on the similarities, like a lot of good will come out of this world. So as always, what I'm gonna do at the end of this, we're gonna put up some contact information for Katie. If you're interested in Isogenics, you're interested in her school, just questions in general, I'll put the contact information up. But as always, we end HIIT Logic with a cheer. So we're gonna do it. Easy work on 3. 1, 2, 3. Easy work!